Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Star Mountain Outdoors and Bushcraft. This is episode 9 of my Pecos Wilderness series, and today I'm going to take you on a 3 to 4 day backpack up the west fork of the Rio Santa Barbara to the Santa Barbara Divide and back down the east fork of the Rio Santa Barbara. So, come on and join me. The trailhead is located at the Santa Barbara campground. So, from Santa Fe, this trailhead is just off the high road from Taos. The first thing you need to do is take US Highway 84-285 north until just past Pewaukee. Turn right on 503 through Nambe. Keep going until you reach the turn lane for Chimayo. Turn left at County Road 98 and go through Chimayo. At the end of the road, turn right on State 76. Go through Truchas. There will be a sharp left-hand turn there. Just follow the signs for the high road to Taos. Then continue following State 76 through Trompas until it meets with State 75 near Penasco. Turn on 75 toward Penasco. That'll be a right-hand turn. When you're almost through town, keep going straight where the road bends to the left. This will be Highway 73. Then you need to turn left on the Santa Barbara Road, which is also Forest Service 116, and follow it to the end, and that'll be the Santa Barbara campground. Now let's talk about the directions for the hike that I took. The trail skirts around the campground on the right-hand side of the road and continues up the drainage. You'll pass a couple of trails. One is the Century Trail and one is the Jicarita Creek Trail. Stay on what is signed as the Middle Fork Trail. After about 1.5 miles, you'll enter the wilderness. Then you'll cross a bridge, and eventually at about 2 miles, you'll get to the intersection with the East Fork Trail. I kept going right up the west fork of the Rio Santa Barbara, and eventually got to another bridge. The trail continued south until I got to a big meadow complex about another couple miles in. It goes through the meadow area until just past the meadow where it crosses the creek again and begins to climb up the hill. Here the trail begins to switch back up the hill. About 1 mile after the switchback area, I found a little side trail that took me to No Fish Lake. The next day from No Fish Lake, the trail switched back up the hill until it reached the pass between Chimayosis and North Truchas Peak. At the pass, I turned left and followed it to the Skyline Trail. I followed the Skyline Trail for almost 5 miles until I reached the Middle Fork Trail. I turned left on the Middle Fork Trail and followed it for about 5 miles until I reached my campsite for the night. From my campsite near the stream crossing, I followed the Middle Fork Trail until I reached the junction with the East Fork Trail. From that junction, I stayed straight and followed the trail through a huge stand of aspen that lasted for miles, eventually ending up at a set of switchbacks that went down the hill. After the switchbacks, the trail turned northward and eventually ended up at the junction with the West Fork Trail. From there, take a right and follow the trail down to the campground. The trail we want heads this way. I just want you to know that the trail at the beginning climbs moderately steep for a little less than a quarter mile and then flattens out as it passes along the east side of the campground, really close to the campsites, in fact. You also do, right at the end of the hill, you pass by the water tower for the campground. So it's not that wild yet, but once you pass the trail intersection, then the first trail intersection just past the campground, then it becomes more wild. I had heard reports of a dead cow along the trail, and here it is. I've also heard there's a lot of cattle up along the meadows and stuff on the trail, so it's gonna be one of those kind of hiking trips, I think. Okay, Mr. Raven, I will leave you to your feast. Alright, I just want to say I'm having a good time here. This is a beautiful trail so far, and I always really enjoy exploring a new trail. There's nothing like it. I point this out a lot on my channel, but I love to see good trail construction. Now, I didn't even know that this trail was here. I'm going to have to check out the map. But it apparently goes up there. It doesn't appear to be well used. And this is the Middle Fork Trail that I am continuing up. This is more of a canyon in here than I expected, which is pretty cool. Very pretty. And the trail after the campground has been flat to moderate. Pretty easy so far. Alright, some of you gear savvy viewers may have noticed that I'm trying out a new backpack today. It is a Z-Pax Arc Blast. I had it custom made to my size, and that's not the only thing I'm testing out. I'm also testing out a new trekking pole that it's one that I bought for a set that I bought for my wife. It's just a cheap Amazon one. It's called Cascade Mountain Tech. I'm just really wanting to see if it's durable enough to buy another pair for my son. Finally, the last piece of gear that I will be testing out is a new quilt. Enlightened Equipment Enigma, custom made. Really looking forward to this new gear, and I'll probably do a review of them this winter. So I'm keeping right and heading up the West Fork Trail. So I believe I'm about 2 miles in now. There is a nice little opening just past the trail junction. So we're still at about 2 miles. And I've got some friends down there. I don't know if you can see them. A couple cows laying down there. And I almost forgot to show you the backdrop for this meadow is spectacular. Here is another beautiful little meadow, and it's even larger than the first. And I did see what looked like a fire ring on the far side, so it would be a good place to camp if you can stay away from the cows. And you still get that stupendous backdrop. And it's really close to that other meadow too. It's just beautiful here. I'm loving this hike so far. So don't go up the cow path, go this way. Absolutely beautiful. Just past that bridge, there's a beautiful campsite off to the right. This is just awesome. It's kind of open. We've got a grouse crossing the trail in front of me. Hello, little grouse. So many grouse up here in the Pecos. There you are. And there's one behind the bush right there. And look at that. That one was still pecking and eating right in front of me. Alright, I'll leave you guys alone now and keep going. Seems like a really pretty area I'm coming into. Right down through the trees there, I see what appears to be a really nice campsite down by the water. There's a fire ring up further on the hill there, but it's in the open within sight of the trail. But I know that that's a really nice campsite down at the bottom there. Okay, there's a couple of large rock piles here next to the trail. There is no trail sign, but I look down here and there's another rock pile there in the distance. And I saw on the other side of this ridge, which is Trompas Creek in the Trompas Lakes Basin, I thought I saw like a climbing trail or something. This must be the other end of that. I think it's just a connector, kind of a cross-country connector between these two trails. And I have seen that on another map. Not the map that I have right now, but so it goes up over that ridge. I'm sure it's a tough trail though. And I'm continuing that way. Okay, you can see there's another little meadow to the left of the trail. Well, the trail kind of goes through it. And it goes on down to the creek. Beautiful little spot here, and I think it's just going to get prettier. I'm at a large meadow now. I don't know how far in I am. I'm guessing 5 miles maybe. And there's a great campsite down to my left here, and I'm heading that way towards Chimaiosas Peak. Anyway, let's continue on and keep exploring. Nice little beaver pond here, about halfway up that big meadow. On the right hand side across the creek and across a little marsh. Hard to get to without getting your feet wet. Alright everybody, the trail's been fairly flat up until the end of that big meadow, and now it's kind of just slowly climbing up the mountainside, and about probably another 4 miles to get me to No Fish Lake. Alright, even though the trail's climbing a little bit, well, this little section is flat, but it's been climbing pretty steadily, but it's a nice trail. It's all the rocks have been cleared and it's like decomposed granite. Okay, we're about 1.5 miles or so from that big meadow, and there's a nice little babbling brook here that's going across the trail. This would be a good place to restock the water if need be. Okay, I just went around what I think was the last switchback, and I've gained quite a bit of elevation, as you can see. And there's Chimiosis Peak, and I am heading this way. Let's keep going. Okay, here's the second camp past the last switchback up the hill, and it's right below the mountain there. And you can see that avalanche chute. It took out half the trees in that area, left the left side. Pretty interesting. Here's another good little spot to fill up on water. This is the first stream that doesn't have a culvert. Alright folks, as you can see, I've made it to No Fish Lake and I have set up my camp. And it's a beautiful spot. I wasn't expecting it to be quite this beautiful. This is great. And I am right by the outlet stream too. So it's a spring-fed lake, obviously. This is nice. It's cool tonight and this fire feels so good. Alright folks, it's about 6 o'clock. Time for dinner. I just made up some vegetable beef ramen type soup. Oh, this looks good. It hydrated nicely. Not bad. Definitely one of my favorite backpacking meals. Alright, I won't force you to suffer watching me eat, so if this is it, then I'll see you in the morning. Have a good night. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to day 2 of my little adventure. Today I'm going to be heading to the top of the ridge to meet with the Skyline trail, and from there I'm going to have to make a decision on whether or not to climb Chimborazo's Peak. I'll see how I feel. If I feel as good as I do now, I'm definitely doing it. So it's going to be a fun day. Let's get going. Okay, here's the main trail. I'm back to it now. And I just wanted to show you that the trail to No Fish Lake is very faint. You can see it kind of go off through the woods right there. If I wasn't paying real close attention, I wouldn't have found it. And it looks like somebody knocked down the cairn, or the cairn got knocked down. So I think I'll set that back up. There, now at least there's a little bit of a marker that can show you where the cross-country route to No Fish Lake is. Okay, you can barely see the lake from the trail here at a switchback that I didn't make it to yesterday. So if you get to this point, you know you've passed the trail, and it's only 100 yards or so past the cairn. There is just a little trickle of a stream above some switchbacks and just past a couple of camps on the way up to the top of the divide. So there is an alternative to camping at No Fish Lake, if you want to camp before you get to the top. Alright, it looks like I am emerging from timberline here. Alright, there's some pretty nice views from here on this stretch of trail above the timber. Beautiful. Look at this. Excellent. step. Alright, I'm approaching the saddle, and there's a hawk over there. I don't know if you guys saw it. I'm real close now. Alright, I made it to the top of the pass. Taking a water break up here. And from here there's actually two trails, two directions you can go. You can go west towards Truchas Lakes, or you can go east towards the Santa Barbara Divide a little more. So I'm gonna head east, of course. Great views of the mountains from here. This is the way I came. This trail sign was knocked down. I just put it back up. As I'm heading down the trail, I see we have quite the view, including Middle and South Truchas. And you can see the trail there that goes down to Truchas Lakes. And way off in the distance there, you can see east and west Pecos Baldy. Incredible views through here too. You can see all the way across the Pecos and Hamilton Mesa and all the way out to Elk Mountain. This may be the best view of Truchas Peaks. This is pretty spectacular. Awesome. I'm walking through a stand of small bristlecone pine through here. Alright, I've made it to the next junction. It's a little contrast. You probably can't read that, but it says Beatty's Trail 25 up the way I came, and then to the right also, and the Skyline Trail is both directions. Alright, I've hiked around the mountain a little ways, and I've come out to a little opening here, and I think this is where the Beatty Trail cuts off to the right. It took a little longer to get here, but I'm here. And we're continuing on the Skyline Trail that way. There's one right there. I just walked by this marker and it's right there. It's so close. Look out, sheepy. Coming through. Oh, and there's also more behind the hills there. They're just all over the place. That's hilarious. They're up there. Oh, there's a marmot next to that one up there. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on the camera. Oh, he's chasing a bird. Wow, that's interesting. Oh, there's two marmots. This is just crazy. There's so much life around here. Sorry about the shaky handheld shots, but it's hard to get steady setups for surprises like this. Everybody's just having a good old time out here. Ah, to be a bighorn sheep. So I'm getting closer. They don't seem to be too worried. Hi guys. It's just me. I'm not going to hurt you. Yeah, you're just staring at me. Okay, the camera's pointing down, so that trail coming up to this ridgeline is pretty steep. And I came from over here. In fact, you can still see in the distance some of the bighorn sheep. That's Chimiosis. And that's the view of the valley I hiked up yesterday. Spectacular. If you want to climb up Chimiosis, this east side looks like the best route. Of course, I decided not to today. I didn't want to hike a couple extra miles out of my way. I've got far enough to go as it is, and I'm not feeling that energetic. So let's continue. Alright, I just came from that direction where that big cairn is, and skirted around that mountain, and this is a view of the Middle Fork Santa Barbara drainage. And it's beautiful. After that last saddle, the trail's been climbing pretty steadily up this peak here. And I've been enjoying the view. Up at the top of the hill here, the trail kind of fades into nothing, but there is a marker to follow. Alright, we're at the big intersection here. And there's another sign here. Alright, I think I'm going to take the Middle Fork trail down instead of the East Fork because I'm getting a little tired. So let's head down to the next marker there. So you can just follow the trail markers through this big meadow, and then eventually it looks like it turns into trail. Past the meadow, it turns into an open stand of spruce. Unfortunately, most of them have been killed by beetles, but it's a pretty stand anyway because of the undergrowth. Here's a meadow beside the trail on the way down. This is the second log I've seen that's been used to kind of dam up and channel the water, keep it from washing away the trail. Nice trail work. Pretty trail through here. Okay, I ended up having to go about 4 or 5 miles down the trail to find a campsite. And the campsite is where the trail crosses the stream. There's a little meadow and it's just above the stream. And there's a little spring that goes down right next to the camp here. But the problem with it is it's not flat. This is a pretty hilly campsite. There's no flat tent spots or anything. Anyway, that's it for now. Let's get started on some dinner. So, I was sitting across from the fire, eating dinner, minding my own business, when I thought I heard a noise across the way. It seems that a covey of grouse is stopping by for a visit. Let's see how close they get. They don't seem to be afraid of the fire. I guess there's 4 of them. Scratch that, there's 5. Another one just appeared. 6. 7. 8. These are my bird friends. I thought the grouse were gone, but obviously they were just roosting in the trees close to the meadow here, and now they're back. So they've been with me or nearby me all night. I wanted to give you a little example of what a cold sink is when you're out camping. A lot of people like to camp right next to the streams and everything and wonder why they're cold at night. Can you see the grass line there where it's white? That's where the cold sink is. It's freezing down there. I actually took some close-up pictures of the ice crystals this morning and that sort of thing. some macro shots. And if you just camp a little higher up on the hill, you can avoid that cold sink and stay a little warmer. And that's what I did last night. My camp is right up there in the trees. And for those of you who are new to backpacking and may want a checklist for how to pack up camp and that sort of thing, let me go through my end of camp checklist with you. Of course, first you have to pack up camp. I didn't build a fire this morning, I built one last night. And I put my hand over it and it felt cold, but I want to make sure those coals are dead out, so I'm dousing it with water and stirring it in. And I put a couple more pots of water on this before I even turn the camera on. And there we go. That's pretty good. Cold to the touch. Dry any wet gear you have as best you can. Collect some firewood for the next campers. If you're an expert camper, you not only collect the fuel wood, you collect the kindling and tinder as well, and you even place some in the fire pit ready to go for the next camper. So when they come in exhausted, they don't have to work to start a fire. They've got it ready to go. Take down the bear rope. And wrap it up nice. And this is how I wrap up my bear rope. Nice and tight. I clip it onto a rope underneath to keep it from unraveling. And I actually stick mine in my cook pot to pack. I've got a sponge, a lighter, my camp stove, and the bear rope all in this little pot. Pick up trash. Yours and any other trash you find out here. This was not mine. This was not mine either, and this came out of the fire. And keep your trash in a trash bag. Wash up. Brush your teeth. Spit away from camp. And make sure it sprays, don't spit it all in one spot. Filter some water. Alright, so naturally the last thing you want to do is do a final check of the camp. Walk around, make sure you didn't miss anything that you were supposed to pack up. Make sure you collected the firewood, make sure you put the fire dead out. Just a double check of everything, but mostly to make sure you didn't miss any trash or anything else that somebody else might have left or you might have left. So that's it. I'm just about ready to go. Everything looks pretty good. I think I'm about ready to go. And I think I would just like to say one final thing. Every camp that I've gone to on this trip has been, nearly spotless. I did find one piece of metal in the fire here and a couple of those wrappers or whatever out in the meadow. I actually didn't find them in camp. But other than that, everything's been clean, spotless. There's been firewood for me. Good job, guys. It's about 9:30 in the morning, and I'm just now getting out of camp. I think this is the latest I've ever gotten out of camp. It's been nice to be able to take my time. Here's an old campsite. It's a pretty cute spot, but it's way too close to the trail. It's probably only about 15 to 20 feet from the trail, and it's under some huge dead spruce, so I'd advise not camping here. This camp is right almost on top of the trail junction between the East Fork and the Middle Fork trails here. So please don't camp here. It's too close to the trail. Nice view from this spot of the trail. This is an unusually steep stand of aspen through here. And I'm pointing the camera down a little bit, so it's probably steeper than it looks. And let me hold it up right. There we go. Just kind of a note to myself that this section of trail between the junction of the East Fork and West Fork, yeah, that's right. This trail seems to be a little rockier than the rest. There are some plants in areas that are just beginning to turn their fall colors. This is a pretty healthy and large stand of aspen that I'm in now, and it would be a great place to see some fall color in about a month here. The trail's actually going up a little bit through this section too, which I thought it would be downhill the whole way. This is why the trail is so rocky. They've actually done a remarkable job considering what's underneath this soil. Here's another gate. This grove of aspen has lasted for miles. Okay, I just came down a switchback here. Still in that same huge grove of aspen. And I'm sure there's probably another switchback down here too. The trail seems to go quite a ways north to pass the switchbacks to meet up with the West Fork Trail. Alright, I made it back down to the trail junction, and I have 2 miles left to go back out. Okay folks, it's time for the end of hike recap. The trip took 3 days, 2 nights, It was approximately 8,000 feet elevation gain and loss. The lowest elevation was 8,800 feet at Santa Barbara Campground to about 12,382 feet on the Skyline Trail. I saw a total of only 2 people on the Skyline Trail on Thursday. The rest I saw coming in on Friday. There were bighorn sheep on the southeast slope of Chimiosis Peak on the Skyline Trail, and I saw the first frost of the year on Friday morning. The trail construction and maintenance was expert, which added to the enjoyment of the hike. This was one of the best hikes of the year. Thanks for joining me, and please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Trip information. The distance was 29 miles. The difficulty was hard. The time required is 3 to 4 days. It's very scenic. There's fishing, wildlife viewing, peaks over 12,000 feet, and trails over 12,000 feet. The season is July through October. The usage is heavy near the trailhead, light on the Skyline Trail. This loop is both in the Carson and Santa Fe National Forest. Please contact the Camino Real Ranger District of the Carson National Forest for trail conditions and fire restrictions.